Welcome to the Art Lady channel. Today I'm going to show you how to sketch out the Sleeping Gypsy. The first thing you want to do is to decide your composition, how you arrange this on your page. Do you want it to be really close up? Or do you want it to be more like Henri Rousseau's, where you see some of the background here? And this is actually from a dream he had. I'm going to show you how to draw this pretty much the way he has it here in this copy here. We'll put in most of the elements here. So we want to start off with the figure. So if you look at the figure, the Sleeping Gypsy, and if I center it so that the elbow is a little bit lower than our center point here. Our center point will be right here near the lion. So I'm just going to come down a little bit for the elbow. So that's how we'll do our composition. So I want to take my page, find my center, and jump down from the center, jump probably just a finger mark. And I'm going to make a slight diagonal line here going up. My center mark will be right here. And I'm going to come down diagonally, and this is going to form her elbow. Now we're going to be making this is for my elementary art kids, so they're anywhere from 6 years old to 10 years old, maybe 11. So it's a simplified version of the Sleeping Gypsy. It's not going to be realistic. It will be realistic, but not with lots of details. It'll be simplified lines. So this is part of her upper arm and then forearm. Now I'm going to jump down a little bit, probably almost a finger, and come up and then connect both lines together. This is going to form her shirt. Now I'm going to come up and around, and that forms her actual sleeve of her shirt. Now this is going to be her hand that's holding a walking stick. So for the hand that's holding a walking stick, I'm going to slightly come out, almost like it's fanning out. And then these will be her fingers in here. This will make, the walking stick will come through. So I'm going to go almost a number 1 diagonal. I'm going to make the walking stick. And then I'm going to continue it like a straight line behind her hand. And there's my walking stick. So this is very boxy. You can sketch this out and put a little thumb here maybe, a little curve for your thumb. You can sketch this out and round your corners and give her more of contour as you like. If you sketch this out with a pencil, then you can end up erasing some of these lines and giving her a little bit more of a contour, like I said, on her hand. But I'm going to come for her wrist, and then she has a little bit of a thicker forearm here. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a diagonal line from here. Find the center. Come down diagonally. That's only about a finger. And then I'm going to do a diagonal and then an opposite diagonal. This will be for her shirt collar. And then I'm going to do her neck to one line here. And then this is going to be an oval coming off of this, down and around. Simplified oval. And even if you want to turn your paper like this to get your facial features, slightly curved eyes, just a line for the mouth, and then the nose. I'm not seeing a lot of detail. Let me show you up close. Pretty hard to see. So for the nose, what I'm going to do, I actually can see some nostrils in here too. But for the nose, I'm just going to come down and over like an L shape. Right there. Now we're going to make this scarf on her head. So I'm going to do a diagonal line, and then I'm just going to curve this round to her shoulders, and the same on the other side. Round to the shoulders. And for the other arm, it's kind of tucked in behind her. She's sleeping kind of on her side. I don't see much of an other arm in the picture. It almost looks like she's grasping at like a pillow here. So I'm going to do an A-shaped frame up, back. Then this is just going to come to her wrist. This is going to wrap around to her wrist. It's almost like she's cuddling a, I'll show you up close, like a pillow or a blanket. Next to this, right here, I am going to add the mandolin. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to do a skip over a little bit so you have plenty of room for the actual base of the mandolin, but let's get the neck of it. So I'm going to come over with a slight curve. I'm going to draw up, up, and I'm slowly tapering it. See how the lines get closer together? This is wider, this is closer. And then for some reason it slants back like that with some lines. Then there's little circles on the ends here. And then the mandolin is going to slowly taper out and around. And then it's got an oval here. It's got a bar down here. And then you can just put in a few lines. You don't have to put in all of them. And if it skips a line like that, that's okay too. Just a few strings to give it the feeling. Sometimes if you put too much. Okay, there we go for that. Now she has a pillow. She is on a pillow. I'm going to turn it back this way. So for the pillow, we're going to come out almost horizontal. So if you follow off the line of your paper here, almost horizontal, and then we're going to block it down. We're losing a little bit of this. It comes in here, curving, and then block it in here. And we do have a water jug, so I'm going to make an oval. And then I'm going to make the neck of the jug, which is going to taper down, and then it's going to bellow out. And the water jug is in the foreground. Slowly until you meet the end. And this is where he signs his picture too, right down at the bottom. So we've got our walking stick. Now we're going to get the rest of her body. I'm going to turn it back up this way, just so I can get the right flow of her dress. And we want to come down at least the same width. So if you measure, this should be almost as wide as your hand, right here. So we want to at least come down as wide as that. So the same length, rather, down. And that's where I'm going to end. And if you do an imaginary straight line, this is where I'm going to end the dress in here. So I'm coming from the elbow, coming in a little bit, and I'm going to make a slight bump into here. It doesn't have to be a perfectly straight line. And then I'm going to come from her hand. I'll drip in lower and then bring it back up right to here. So I'm past the walking stick. And then her feet, I'm going to turn her this way for the feet. She has, it's kind of hard to see with a glare here. I'm going to come off. Now notice I'm not at the very bottom. The feet are kind of in a funny perspective. Come out. I'm just going to block these in. And then her other foot, bring it to here, and her other foot is more tilted this way. So I'm going to show where the toes go. So this is where your toes go, and you can even later put detail in here where they go and round the toes and all that, whatnot. And then, so here's the toe line here, and then I'm going to block it down, behind, down, there. You don't see a lot of that detail in her large toe. They do look like they're crossed. It's hard to see in the copy that I'm looking at. It does look like they're crossed. Her large toe looks like it's here. So this looks like it's behind. Okay, now we're going to do the horizon line. So it's just simply blocked out. Now the horizon line is going to come off of her elbow. And so I'm just going to make a slightly wavy line. It comes a little bit below the edge of this pillow. Now, if your pillow's too high or lower, that's okay. Just kind of come across the page here behind her. But you want it to be somewhat. This is okay here. Could have been a little bit lower on mine. But you just don't want one to end way down here and one up here. This is just the ground, the line of the ground where the lion's going to stand on. Now we're going to go ahead and block in where her shoulder meets her scarf here. That's where I'm going to put the lion's nose. So I'm going to put a diagonal line here, and then I'm just going to come around, and then I'm going to make the lion's forehead. So I'm going to make another diagonal line back. I'm going to do a circle for an eye, put a little dot in the center, and then I'm going to give a little nostril curve. Now the lion's ears are tipping forward, so I'm going to go forward and then back. The one ear that's showing, it's a profile. Now the mane, I'm going to come diagonally up, just about, not even 2 fingers, a little bit past a finger. And then I'm going to diagonally back down. This will become the mane. And the mane will form this whole area here. So I'm going to come back from his body, and I'm going to go right to her arm, and I'm going to give some slight wave. The mane is curving back this way, and then it comes right to her scarf. And actually, the lion is behind her. She's in the front. So the jug is in the foreground. She's somewhat in the foreground as well. Jug is just a little bit closer to us. And then the lion is more in the middle ground, and then in the background is where the mountains are. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the lion's, you might want to put a little bit of mane here, the lion's legs. I'm going to give the guideline first. I'm going to do a finger. That's going to be where my legs are going to go. And then I'm going to do a tummy area. So just a curve here. This is where my leg is going to go, and the legs are closed together. So I'm going to come starting diagonal and then go right to the ground. I'm going to give a straight line, and then I'm going to do it right up to the mane. So the legs are, one's in the front, one's in the back. Now this leg I'm going to bring up to here, the body. So this is his front leg close to us, and this is the leg in the background behind us. Now the back legs curve, or I'm sorry, diagonal, diagonal. And then I'm going to do a diagonal. Now this is going to be the curve of this leg here. So I'm going to come off the body and diagonally down. Diagonal, and then I'm going to come up, and I'm curving up and around. This is going to be his back end, right to the mane. And now, of course, we've got the tail. Come out, back out. I've tapered the tail so it's wider where it meets his back end. And then it's gradually, and then I'm going to make curve, curve, and then it's going to meet at a tip. Now we have that moon here. So if you take where the face is, come directly up the page, you have a circle for a moon. And you can make this moon as big as you want. Well, his is pretty small compared to the overall everything. I exaggerated mine a little bit. Right here. And then, of course, you have the mountains in the background. And his mountains come, if you measure up, they come lower than his back. So I'm going to say this is the highest peak, and I'm just going to gradually come down. Gradually come down. I'm going to go behind him, continue off mid-face here. giving some height and some low, and then another one here. Gradual mountains though. You don't want sharp peaks. You could give another peak in here and some other layers in the mountain if you'd like. This seems to be a darker layer down in here. Let me show you what I was talking about. See the layers? And that's basically how to simply sketch out quickly your sleeping gypsy. Now, if you're an advanced artist, what you would do is go back, sketch out if you need to fix anything. You may be off on some things, add a little bit more detail, like you want to go back and add, detail in the hands, the fingers, to make anything more realistic. And then you can have fun painting in this, but at least you've got your composition mapped out on your page, all planned out. Have fun with creating your own patterns and textures, using different colors. He stood with a kind of a natural palette here, the colors, but you can have fun with all this. Make it any time of day. I can see gorgeous flower patterns in her pillows and blankets, and her scarf she has on. I believe that's a scarf. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if what exactly that is, or if it's like a dread. But have fun decorating your sleeping gypsy by Henri Rousseau.